Hi moms, so today we are talking about pelvic floor dysfunction, and we're going to talk about too tight of pelvic floor muscles. We're going to talk about it with prenatal and postnatal moms because it matters for both of you. So the reason why it matters for you prenatal moms is because to be able to do a vaginal delivery, you have to relax your pelvic floor muscles. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It has to happen. And if it doesn't happen, it can make it difficult to birth your baby vaginally. So we really want to make sure during the last weeks of pregnancy, we are working on relaxing our pelvic floor muscles. And then if we're postpartum, having too tight of pelvic floor muscles matter because it can make sex painful. You can also have pain in the pelvic region, and then you might have urgency incontinence, which is different than stress incontinence. So stress incontinence happens when you sneeze or you laugh or you do some jumping jacks. That is a symptom of your pelvic floor being too weak. But if you're having urgency incontinence, which the sudden need to go and you feel like you can't make it to a bathroom in time, that can be a symptom of having too tight of pelvic floor muscles. So today I want to show you some stretches that you can do whether you're prenatal or postnatal to learn how to relax your pelvic floors. If you're still having difficulties with any of this, I highly recommend going to a pelvic health therapist that can further help evaluate you. So what we are going to do is I'm going to use a few different props here. You can also use pillows or blankets at home if you don't have these yoga props. So I have a bolster and then I have 2 yoga blocks with me. The first one we are going to do is we are going to take our soles of our feet together. Our knees are going to be out wide here. We're going to grab onto the ankles and sit up tall. Maybe this is enough stretch for you. Maybe you want to go a little further. If you want to go a little further, then you hinge forward at the waist, keeping my back nice and flat. So feeling this stretch all through the inner thighs here, all through the groin area, and then coming back up. So now you're going to take your right foot is going to be out in front of you, so it's going to be parallel with your mat. Left foot's going to go behind you. You're going to take your right hand behind you. Left arm goes up as you lift those hips up towards the ceiling. And then coming back down. And then coming over to the other side. So lifting those hips up. And back down. So another way you can further relax the pelvic floor is to come into a reclined bound angle. So what that means is if you are a prenatal mama and you are in the 2nd trimester or later, you want to make sure that you're not lying all the way flat. So you can either lean against something behind you, or you can prop up your bolster with some yoga blocks and lean against that. So if you're postpartum, you can come all the way down to the floor. And then soles of the feet are going to be touching again. I'm going to take my blocks. You can also use pillows and put it underneath my knees to fully support them. When my knees are fully supported, I can relax my hips a little more and sink a bit more into the stretch. You want to practice breathing here. So what happens when we breathe is that when we inhale, our pelvic floor actually drops down because our diaphragm expands, it's pushing on our organs, everything pushes down. When we exhale, everything draws back in. So you want to try to feel that when you're doing your deep breathing exercises. It's a really good way to connect to your pelvic floor. The next stretch I'm going to show you is a variation of goddess pose. So you can use a block underneath you. It'll be right underneath your sit bones. And then your knees are going to be out wide, having your hands together at prayer. Having a block underneath you gives you a lot of feedback when we're doing some of that deep breathing that I had just mentioned. And you can really feel the pelvic floor dropping down and then elevating. So if you're having a hard time feeling it, having something underneath can help. Also using guided imagery whenever you're doing your breathing to relax your pelvic floor. You want to think about tension kind of melting away whenever you're doing these exercises. And then another variation is having your legs out wide, block is in front of you, and then folding over. And then slowly coming back up. So again, that pelvic floor breathing or that diaphragmatic breathing is a really good way to start to connect to your pelvic floor muscles. So using that guided imagery, trying to close your eyes during it, really noticing the rise and fall of the pelvic floor when you breathe, even if it's just that image. So if you guys have any questions about this or anything else that I've posted, please feel free to reach out to me.